Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, everyone, or good evening, everyone. My name is Raed Al Mubarak. I'm from Bahrain, Society of Bahrain SMEs. I'd like to welcome you to this session, marketing, online marketing, and success during pandemic. In behalf of Bahrain SMEs and MENA Training Center, I'd like to welcome you to our special speakers tonight, and Mr. Ryan Saw from Singapore, and Mr. Sadeq Abdul Rasool from Bahrain. In a few minutes, we will start and would like to welcome them and our special guest from Singapore as well. And he has a long time experience in education and technology and so on. So before I go during that one, I'd like just to point few points. We will have Q&A sessions. We will have chats as well. And if you'd like to speak, we will have a session for a Q&A. It will be after every speech. And there will be a survey. If you allow me to go through the survey and to improve ourselves and improve our training later on. So in that way, I'd like to welcome everyone in behalf of Bahrain SMEs. And I'm waiting Dr. Abdul Hassan as well. He will be joining us in a few seconds to welcome our guests. We have Mr. Ryan. I'll just give a brief about Mr. Ryan. He has a long history. Ryan is a business strategist. During his entrepreneurial journey, he was being an experienced entrepreneur for more than 18 years. He spent most of his time or his journey focusing on education related to the ventures. With his interest in fast-moving technology sector, Ryan rolled out a digital transformation framework for monetary. We will go through it, of course. Education institution, financial literacy, and youth aged 6 to 7 was his field. Currently, Moneytree is operating in 8 countries and expanding. And there are a lot of achievement. So we'd like to congratulate Mr. Ryan as well. And he was embarked in blockchain journey late 2017 before starting his company EduFied, a blockchain-based document and storage verification system in early 2018. In mid-2019, Ryan spun off Marfeed, a startup focusing on the maritime industry from EduFied, as both applied the same back-end technology. With his passion for entrepreneurship, he spends his available time mentoring startups to pass on his wealth on knowledge. Our second colleague or our speaker will be Mr. Sadeq Abdul Rasool. Sadeq is a Bahraini entrepreneur. He is expert in digital field and a trainer from international awarding bodies. Graduated from Starshire University in UK in information technology, with specialized in mobile technology, and awarded a dual master program in digital and strategic marketing at London School of Business Finance. He is a plus. He has a lot of experience in big companies like Microsoft, it's trillions company, Google, AWS or Amazon, IBM, Blockchain Council. Now he is the chairman or chief officer of Homiez, and he will join us today as well for this company. So we'd like to welcome all our colleagues in Bahrain, in behalf of Bahrain SMEs. I'd like to welcome everyone here. And if you allow me just to give me about 1 minute, we are waiting Dr. Abdul Hassan to join us. Just a few seconds. تفضل دكتور. دكتور عبد الحسن تفضل.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening for some of you. And hopefully before it becomes good night, we're glad to have you all with us today for this important seminar about online marketing, especially during this unfortunate pandemic. And we are glad to have Mr. Ryan with us from Singapore, as well as Mr. Sadeq from Bahrain. And without any further ado, I'd like just to thank them on behalf of the Bahrain Islamic Society and on behalf of all of you, and welcome you all for this important seminar to talk about the success during the pandemic through the online marketing. As you all know, marketing is the beginning and end of any business. And during this pandemic, nothing should stop us. In fact, we should be leading and coming up with the new solutions for problems. And I think online marketing is one of the main solutions to come up and lead the way for successful businesses. So without any further ado, I'd like to thank you all for attending and participating in this important seminar, and to thank our distinguished speakers today in this very important seminar. And I wish you all the best, and that you can get out with lots of tangible feedback and results that can help you with your business. Thank you very much, and all the best. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor. Thank you very much. Mr. Ryan, I think we can start immediately. Thank you very much, Victor. And Mr. Ryan Sols from Singapore, join us, please. Yes.
All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for the opportunity from SMES Bahrain for the invitation to be able to share my experience on online marketing and also a bit of EduFied as well. As you can see from here, with the pandemic, a lot of businesses can't be conducted on a face-to-face basis. So most of the information and most of the access is now gone through online. And most of you probably have a mobile phone just a reach away. And that's technically how a lot of things are actually taking place. And if you take a look in terms of the online space itself or the internet penetration, the world population is about 7.8 billion. There is about 5.2 billion with a mobile phone, and about 4.6 billion of them actually have internet access. And about 4 billion of them, which is more than 51%, have active social media account. The question now is, if today our business is not transferred online, then when is it happening? And in fact, COVID-19 have very much changed the way we use social media. While from a digital transformation aspects of things, especially in terms of education in the space that I'm in, COVID-19 has particularly compressed digital transformation, was originally required to take about 5 years, have actually made it happen within 6 months. And with that, you can also see that a lot of business owners, when they thought online marketing, online transaction can wait, it seems that the 6 months have taken a lot of us by surprise. And this is a lot of people spending more time, whether on the various devices from mobile phone, laptop, or even smartwatches, and so on and so forth. So those are the key things that we're needing to look at in terms of how social media is taking a change in our lifestyle. When it comes to any social media or online marketing per se, we always look at what we call a marketing funnel, whereas you divide it into three main stages before you turn to a client. You have the awareness, you have the engagement, and you have the conversion, which means what we call the top of the funnel and the middle of funnel is what you need to focus on in order to get your audience or your designated potential client to your doorstep and to turn them into sale. It is very different now, whereas it's not like you have to make a telemarketing call. It's not whereas you can do canvassing to visit your potential client, or probably having a shop front waiting for visitor to visit you. Potentially, all this is taking place, but not in terms of a face-to-face basis. Well, how do we actually reach out to your client? No, through social media and reaching out to them. How do we actually put an ad to let them see your advertisement? And eventually, how do you actually invite them into your shop? But now it could be just in terms of a mobile, a website, where then you can start to convert them. So the very much important thing is to really focus on what we focus on is the awareness and the engagement. Because if you do this well, in any business, it's always law of large number. We are talking about reaching out to the masses, and the conversion rate is something you focus on. It's just like the same aspects when you talk to 100 clients, and not 100 of them actually will be a client. Potentially only 20% is interested, and out of this 20%, another 20% is a potential client. So those are the statistics aspects of things that could potentially happen in the space that you're in. So let us focus on what EduFied have done during this pandemic. Our usual process was what I showed you earlier on. Well, we email, we call, and have to make visit to the different stakeholder, from the registrar to the IT department to the management. But how do I actually change this into a one-stop? We're able to get them to be aware and able to get them to be engaged. I changed the engagement into a webinar. And I call them the title, Digitalize Your Document Issuance Process. And that was how I garner interest through advertising. Advertising to the various social media aspects of things. When the topic was something which enticed them or is interesting to them, they will then take one step forward to attend a webinar, just like what you are doing. But the thing is, you really need to move forward to take the first step. The next thing, getting them into the webinar is only the first step. Remember, you have to get the awareness. The focus on is the engagement. You move forward. So the content itself is then moving forward as in what you need to address them accordingly with potentially a demo and also a Q&A session. And that is where you start to do engagement. But is it the end of the whole session itself? The answer is no. And that's typically something that I'm going to show you how I have compressed a typical, probably a 40 minutes webinar into something I normally will share now in the next few slides to show you exactly the potential workflow of a successful webinar and how we actually engage them and so that we are able to enhance on our marketing and so that the workflow is much better. So for EduFied, we are a tamper-proof document issuance and verification system. So basically, we are assessed for issuing authority, be it whether the schools or any professional body that require to issue tamper-proof verifiable documents to receive it. But for the recipient, it's much easier for them to store and share them securely from the digital wallet. For someone who received the document, instead of in the past wondering whether this is real or not, now they can simply just validate the document with a scan of the QR code. I'm going to show you exactly how I do that in a while. The reason for the tempered document aspects of this is because you might be familiar with any street in probably your potential country, but in Philippines, there's actually a street where you can walk in and walk out with any documents that you want. And that's where EduFied comes in. We are here to provide a tamper-proof digital wallet to empower individuals. No longer they need to actually have digital physical paper. Everything is digitalized, and you have to be able to have your career and skill passport as well. And of course, the most important thing, people are traveling from point A to point B, country to country. Just imagine you lose one very important document and you have to spend time and money printing that. For us, moving into digitalization is important. Some of your workflow could be digitalized as well, which means that you actually turn it to giving an instant delivery aspect. And most important thing, social media aspects also promote social distancing. End of the day, when you convert a manual process to a digital process, you are actually lowering down cost of production as well. So these are some of the fundamentals aspects of things you can and you should look into. Transforming your business from manual to digitalized actually improve branding and also position yourself as a forward thinker as well. So from here, digitalization is not a bad thing. In fact, we are talking about streaming and having a plug and play model to streamline all your work process. So instead of 5 steps, digitalization can be only taking 1 or 2 steps. And in fact, you can see that even a student through the whole digitalization process is already getting the first job through the digital credentials that we're issuing. Now, more important, as I mentioned, awareness, engagement. So bear in mind, when you actually have your audience into the webinar, the next question that you should be asking yourself is, what do they take away? Now for us, very simple. We give them a certificate of participation, just like this. And today, I'm going to give you one as well. And how do I do it? To give you a tamper-proof document, as simple as pull out your mobile phone. As mentioned earlier on, your mobile should be a hand, just a hand away. All right, scan this QR code and fill up the form when you see the website. Fill up the details, and well, after this webinar, probably by tomorrow, you will be getting a certificate of participation, which I mentioned, which will look just like earlier on that one. Okay, so if you can't scan, you can just visit this URL, bit.ly/SMES_Bahrain. So what I have just done basically is just the engagement. You can see what I immediately have done is potentially awareness, engagement, and conversion. What I have just done is providing you with a lead magnet and leading you with a landing page and potentially showing you that if you are keen, that is how the first step takes place. And that's typically how things actually work. So from a demo perspective wise, if you are able to show your product, you must be able to show them how it works. So do a live demo, engage them. Like for example, for me, I normally will show them. This is a typical cert. Well, on the normal cert itself, you probably have your gold seal, your UV printing, and so on and so forth. So what we did is that we replaced the security measures with the blockchain details, as you can see from here below. Credential ID, issue address, learner portfolio, and eventually looking at scanning a QR code. Well, it's another QR code. And that's typically the engagement. The webinar itself that you conduct is not for them to sit through a 1 hour briefing. No, people's attention span is very short. So you must be able to plan for engagement within your webinar. So bits and pieces of your engagement is something you need to plan for, so that there is a higher chance of conversion later on. So if you have, you probably can scan this QR code. Okay, that's normally what I get the audience to do as well. And from there, to get them to test out the product. if yours is possible. If not, you might want to do a short video of your product. Get them to test it, get them to see it, and that's typically how things actually work on our end. All right, so typically, that's where you are able to see how things work and able to verify the necessary credentials, whether is it being expired, and being verified as well. So that's typically how things work, and this will be the cert that you will be receiving. So from the online marketing perspective wise, you can see let's just come back to do a closing. The awareness aspects, I will not go into the type of platform that you are able to. I believe most of us are Facebook, Google search, all right, Instagram, you name it. I mean, obviously the up and coming one is TikTok. Okay, so you have different platform for you to advertise. But of course, you must understand what is the end client. Some businesses may not be the best mode to advertise on this B2C channel. If you are on a B2B channel, what are the platforms you might want to go to? LinkedIn. So LinkedIn might be a better platform for you to do marketing, to reaching out to the correct stakeholder. So engaging in terms of the awareness process is something you need to take off so that you are able to gain more viewers, more followers. I think that's one of the key things we are looking at. Engagement, that's where blogging, which means that don't underestimate a content, which means that don't underestimate a short article of probably anything from 250 to 400 words. Because if you constantly write something good and something specific on your industry where you are the expert, the internet will look at you as an expert. Why? That's just another fundamentals of what we call search engine optimization, which is talking about website optimization and content optimization. So that is typically another method that we can look into. So those are the key things you really need to focus on. And once you focus on 1 and 2, eventually, as mentioned, it's law of large number, have an excellent landing page, and you're able to close more offer. The below one, I think it's just something we can do follow up, which is the bottom of funnel, having continuous offer, like the recent 10/10, October 10. So various aspects of promotions that comes in. So that's typically how things actually work. And we can see that as we move forward, the engagement will be much better. It is going to be a tough process. It's something which you are not familiar with, but it doesn't mean that you don't try. You have to take the first step because the way of marketing is online. And we can see with the pandemic that's happening, going back to the normal business structure is going to be hard. With restriction here and there, whether it's the second wave, third wave, fourth wave, all right, people are staying at home more often. And with that, the transformation of online is important. And that's also why EduFied is taking a first step and moving forward with taking education from a different perspective, turning physical copy of certificates and diploma into the digital aspects. And recently, we just got honored to win the category of Future of Education, APAC EdTech Competition 2020. So with that, definitely, I would like to share more. And I'll leave it to the Q&A. If you've got any questions from here, that's EduFied, certified, verified, certified, be EduFied today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ryan. It's really interesting and as well. I like the barcode as well. This is really engagement. And I tried it as well, and hopefully to receive my certificate online within a few minutes. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we can open the Q&A now. For if you have any question, our colleagues, the door is open now, and we'll come to if you have any question before we move to the next topic. You can either write the chat or you can raise the hand and we can open the link. Okay, it seems to be everything is fine, or we can make it later on as well. Our colleague, yes, our participant, there is one Q&A, I think. Mr. Farid, how can someone acquire clients and make them loyal with minimum amount? Ryan?
Okay. I think in the marketing perspective wise, without knowing your industry, I won't be able to comment much in terms of how do you spend minimum to keep them loyal. But I think let's just put it this way. There is always a form of trial and error in terms of what you need to do for online. Okay. So one of the key things that you could potentially be doing is, like I mentioned earlier on, try to own the space that you are in. Writing a blog, writing content. As long as you're able to position in your space that you are the expert, eventually people will come to you, come to your website, read up, and from there you will earn your customer. So we are talking about the cheapest way is to make sure you own your content, own the space, and continue to contribute in the society, whether is it your website, a blog post, or a Facebook page, or a LinkedIn page. Those are content that you constantly will need to contribute. I think that is again a skill set, and that's potentially the cheapest way because that's only your time if you are the one that's writing, and eventually growing what we call a fan base. And that's where you start to convert your fan base because they always think that they come to you for the best advice or read your best advice. And from there, then they will be thinking of buying your product or services. If we are talking about the cheapest way, I think that will be the cheapest way to convert from content to fans to customers. Hope that helps.
Okay. Yeah, the second one, who will be the authorized to issue the certificate? This is from Mr. Brahim Jawad.
Okay. The issuer itself will be any authorized issuer. It could be the school. It could be any professional bodies. No, like for example, someone who is using us will be the certification body, like Financial Planning Association of Singapore, like Institute of Financial Planning, accountants, lawyers, doctors association. So those are the key things that we are looking at, you know, for them for engagement. So any issuing authority that traditionally issue physical certs is required document to be validated. Even now we are looking at licenses as well. And we just recently been appointed to issue out safe travel COVID pass tempered full results slip. Yes, and that is mandated by the Singapore government. So anyone who want to travel to Singapore actually need to have a pre-departure COVID tempered full result, which is actually issued by our system.
There is another question, Ryan, it's from Mr. Hussein Senkis. How can you manage getting to international clients by their different languages, cultures, and beliefs?
Okay. I think from a online aspects of things, one of the key things language-wise itself is marketing. You need to standardize. Okay. The normal language, obviously, you know, is English. But when you want to do a research, you must also see what platform, what is the demographic of the region that you plan to advertise in. It doesn't mean that today, let's say, for example, I'm in Singapore now, all right, in ASEAN, okay? It doesn't mean that today I advertise on Facebook in Vietnam, let's say, for example, people actually read English. They're actually more well-versed on looking at the Vietnamese. So when you advertise aspects of things, then you really need to segmentize in terms of what is your go-to-market strategy. That eventually will be a challenge, to be frank, and that probably require a secondary stage of analyzing of how you attain a client in a various country. For example, to be frank, for EduFied, although we are a Singapore-based company, Singapore HQ, my first country to go to is Philippines. Why? Because it's English speaking. And that is also one of the consideration of when you talk about expanding, how you plan to expand, and that eventually will be the key thing of deciding what's the business strategy as you move forward. What platform are you going face-to-face? Are you going online? What is the best platform for you? Is it Facebook? Is it LinkedIn? Or potentially other social media platform that you might have? Yeah.
Okay. I think excellent. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ryan. I think if there are more questions, we can come later on. I think we'll go to the survey now. If you allow me, just we'll take about 1 minute to 2 minutes to go for the survey. Thank you very much, Ryan. Our colleagues, if you don't mind, just to go through the first feedback. Okay, I think we have about 20 seconds. It doesn't matter because some other colleagues are still filling the survey. No problem. Okay, I think we can start. Welcome, Mr. Sadeq. Sadeq Rasool will be our second speaker today. Sadeq is expert in digital field and he is the Chief Digital Officer of Bahrain leading e-commerce project Homiez.me. Welcome, Mr. Sadeq, and join us, please, to the floor. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Doctor, for the introduction. I hope that you can see my screen properly. Is that right?
Yes, yes, it's clear.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'll just skip the introduction about myself. Thank you very much for the introduction. I'll just go through certain areas that we would like to have to tackle. Mr. Ryan, that I think he had a good introduction and brief about several topics. So I'll just try to go around certain areas which we believe that it will be comprehensive for the session today. So first of all, we do have the market research and the data analysis. Keep in your mind that marketing is no longer about the stuff that you are making or producing. It is about the story that you tell. As Ryan, he said that always put your focus on the content, what you are telling the people, not what you are selling for the people. This is where the people that they will see the differences between your product and the other products. Perhaps 20 or 30 years ago, if I can simply bring this water off bottle and I can tell the people I am the best producer of this water in the world, and people actually, they will believe me. Nowadays, people, they do have a communication network. They can check the content. They can check the quality of your work. They can even compare it and benchmark it. So always consider what does your product tells about you. Another thing that we shall start with, and those are in fact popular quotes that I consider myself the pillars of marketing. You can't sell anything if you can't tell anything. And in fact, this quote has been derived from Einstein. that you can't explain anything if you don't understand anything. So if you can't describe your product, describe your service, describe your company, or even your brand, don't expect that you will progress anywhere. This is, in fact, I do love usually to use some joyful slides, especially that we are here to have an overview about this particular area. Keep in yourself that the journey of any marketeer, it will not be as simple as you are expecting. Keep in your mind that there's ups and downs, and today in such black swan events like Corona or COVID-19, keep in your mind that some people actually have benefited to the top, and they have benefited to maximize their profits and exposure, and some companies or brands they have lost during this event. Okay, so usually in the marketing we do have a principle which we call it the 3I principles. The 3 I's principles. First of all, you need to initiate, which is you have to start with your own customers. I believe that some of you, he has asked about how to target people, our international clients, and so people outside my culture or outside my domain. This is where we need to initiate to understand what are the customers' needs and requirements. Second thing, which I always emphasize on that point, is to iterate. Iterate means you need to capitalize on your success and keep enhancing on what you have done. You have done something great before, a marketing campaign, a service, a PR stunt, and so how to capitalize it, how to maximize benefiting of this, or even how to repeat it. Third and last is to integrate. Keep in your mind that by the time you do have two different areas, you have the online and you do have the offline. Yes, today we might talk about the domination of online channels or online marketing, but don't forget ever how you can benefit out of the offline channels. This is Lego. I believe that everybody is aware about Lego, and this is for me is the perfect example of the initiate start. As all of you know that Lego is one of the market industry leaders in the toys, that they were like one of the top 10 in the 19th for the toys. However, with the globalization of the market, what they are producing right now is not something complicated or sophisticated. It's just plastic toys, which we call that the bricks. So by the time, special thanks for our brotherhoods from China, producing such product wasn't something quite difficult. They can't even do something similar in terms of technology. So how about just a piece of plastics? So over the time, the sales of Lego has been dropped something massively. So they have become like an example of the drop, and that back to that time. What they have done actually, that they have introduced a characters. They have basically just the bricks, which they fix on each other, and they have introduced later on the characters. And it was like a good movement to start. So just think right now, they have introduced, for example, driver. They need another character to interact with this driver, like the passenger. You have a doctor, you need someone to interact with this doctor, which is the patient, and so. Just to let you know that one of their most, the most valuable lessons that they had, where they have introduced a ninja, this Japanese ninja, okay? So they were like asking whom will be fighting the ninja. They have the first batch of ideas. It was ninja, they will fight with wizards, okay? Ninja with wizards. They have published this package of the game itself, and apparently it was like a failure. Nobody was interested to buy ninja fighting with wizards. They pulled it back. After having different research and different experts joining the board to understand what went wrong, they have launched the game again, ninja fighting with wizards. Okay. The first time it was wizards, the next time it was lizards. Okay, so it was also another failure. They pulled it back. They had like a very long discussions, very long by months, about what went wrong, and they said, yes, we have found it. Ninja will fight with robots. They have launched this product and it was the worst after all. There was something wrong. What's been wrong is they are not getting back to the actual user, which are kids. So they have found few kids here and there. They have come, Baba, those ninjas are fighting exactly with whom? They say the skeletons. Skeletons doesn't make much of sense for the executives and researchers. They found out of every 10, 7 out of each 10, they are selling a skeleton, they are fighting with ninja. And guess what? They said, okay, let's try. The researchers and all the studies didn't work. Let's try ninja fighting with skeletons. They have just issued the package of the game, and in pre-order, all of it has been sold. This is where we say, start with your own customers. Look for their problems, look after their pain, and try to find out how can I improve it. So getting back to that, this will lead me to find out what can make my customer satisfied, because their satisfaction is my boost of the business. Always consider looking for the things from boost two different perspectives. You have customer profile, you have the value proposition. So the customer profile is what we have just said. There's something that makes your customer satisfied, and there's few things which makes them actually upset. Those are the pains and gains. From your end, you have something which we call the value proposition, or in different references, they call it the unique selling points. So what can I produce? What can I present for you to make you satisfied? What are the gains from my end? And even under the value proposition, there are like many different things: unique selling points, the emotional selling points, and the easy selling points. Just go find out how can you relieve the customer's pain, how can you maximize their benefit out of your products and services. Yes, as I think Mr. Hussein in case he was asking, I do have clients from different countries with different cultures, with different languages they are speaking. This is what we actually saying, it's called the persona. Different people, they will have different characters. Different characters will have different characteristics, different languages, different interests, different desires, different everything. So for you, you need to start identify how can you target each one of them, and whom are your targeted audiences. For example, if I am selling this water, so I can start thinking and pinpointing whom are my customers. Are they just the public, or are they the athletes and sportsmen? Are they like people sitting in the office? And so, because based on that, it will decide how I will brand this product, how I will market it, or even how I will sell it. This is actually a slide that I was thinking that shall I keep it or shall I remove it? But in fact, I thought that let me keep it. In the 1920s, the United States and Navy, they have become with a principle. It's called the KISS principle, which stands for keep it simple and stupid. Keep it simple and stupid. And this is in fact something that even today, if you will go for the philosophy behind Apple products and services, you will find out they are trying to, most of the times, to keep it as simple as possible. As simple as possible. Even for us, we are saying simplicity is the most sophisticated process. Yes, try to keep the messages of your marketing as simple. And what do we mean by stupid is not stupid in terms of stupidity. Stupid means something easy to be digested in the customer's minds. Don't assume that they will be understanding. Don't assume that they will read your mind. Try to give them a very clear messages so it can be conveyed for them quite easily. This is in fact how we are living nowadays. You might hear about certain theories, about certain from different courses, from different workshops, webinars, seminars, from even some academic books. And this is in fact what I have learned through my master, that you will get like many theories, many formulas, The thing is, sometimes you need to minimize this sophistication of understanding to go for something quite simple of how can I satisfy my customer? And instead of just doing a backstage research, go and ask your customers. Go and ask them, in fact, how can I satisfy you? What makes you like this session? Like what right now Dr. Raed he has done, ask them directly what you have loved about this session, what you didn't like. Is it the time? Is it the quality? Is it the material? Is it the presentations? Is it the presenters? Is it the time? So go and ask them directly. And over the time, you will find out that after identifying your customers, you will be able, as Mr. Ryan he has showed, you will do have different types of funnel of how can you approach to your audiences, from offline channels and online channels, from search engine optimization, content marketing, email marketing, mobile marketing, from remarketing. You will start thinking about how can I automate the whole thing. You will start to have something we call conversion rate. How can I optimize this conversion rate? You will start to think about that you do have actually user-generated content. People, they publish about your session, your webinar, your products, your services. How can I put all of this so I can present it in a better way over the time for my audiences? So this overall, it will give you an understanding for what shall be done. Here, we do have the customer's motivations. The customer motivations, it might be like with different phrases and names. What do actually people like about your product? What will motivate the people? For example, here in Bahrain, it's like it's price-oriented community. So if you are serving the best price, people they will actually come to you. In some certain countries, such as Germany, they are quality-oriented. They like to mention that on the product it's satisfaction guaranteed, durable, heavy duty, and so. So over the time, you need to understand and tackle each one of those. Can you present your content properly? Can you customize the packages or the messages like a tailored? Right now, if I will give my presentation for example, people in Malaysia, I might consider certain things to make it localized for them, which is customized for them. Community-wise, how you are communicating with them. Are you talking with them in the local language, with the local accent? Are they understanding what you are trying to say, or you are like far away? And so different customers tend to have different motivations. I have seen before the customer journey map from different authors, but the fact today that different customers will really have different journeys. Don't think that your customer is just the path from the awareness to the interest to consideration to conversion, and lastly is the advocacy or attention. They will have different paths, different people with different psychologies. So we might also stop on the what kind of tools and channels that we might look after in the online and digital marketing. In fact, I do not usually market for tools, even if I'm using them. It's just, I believe that all of you are executives and you can let your comrades or colleagues look after. But think, it's not about the tools. You don't need the tools. Tools are available everywhere, free or paid. You need to understand the concept. This is a lovely picture I was even printing before for my colleagues in the company. You don't need a drill, you need a hole, okay? You need somewhere to drill on. You need to understand the concept, what I am marketing, what I am giving, and what I want to achieve. Later, you will find out the tools are coming quite easily. So the talking about social media is quite a generic topic, and it is quite obvious that today social media has become more or less the community driven. It is what driving the community from here and there. If you want, you can check about certain things which it's not even about products, even about a nation. United Kingdom, they have left the European, the EU, just because of social media. You can check out a movie, it's called Brexit. Actually, the name of the occasion itself, Brexit, is the name of the movie also, Brexit. So it's all was social media revolved, because mastering the social media is controlling the minds of the audiences. You are conveying for them a messages. Those messages are your products, are your services, are your offerings, and so. So think about how can you target the people? How can you broadcast your messages? Whom to mention, whom to think of? What are your engagements? Sometimes you might think about having a contest, like for example, I do have a webinar next month, and is it for 1,000 US dollars? The first 10 or having the highest likes, for example, in this post will get a free tickets. See, you are giving them a reason to engage with you. Okay, even consider using the hashtags or because the hashtag is your key connector to other areas. Consider about the platforms. Are you using LinkedIn, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, whatever you are using? Consider where are my audiences and how can I tackle them. The cost of success. Of course, success is not as everybody is thinking. The success is something quite hard, and usually people do describe the success as like the iceberg. What people say is just like winning where like a small, easy, it's not that hard. In fact, they don't see the efforts, the depression, all that you have done to reach for that success. And in fact, if you want to be able to have a proper success, can't think about how is the success looks like in the future for you, which we call it in the management, the backcasting. Think, if I am a company, where do I see my company after 3 years? This is your vision, in fact, okay? Then come back in stages about what shall I do in each stage in order, in fact, to achieve this. Today, in the digital era, in the online age, data is the new oil. The touch points that you are having about each of your audiences, it is your value, in fact. It is a part and a big part of the success. There are like many areas that you can think of, such as data mining, data assessment, data evaluation, investment, utilization, optimization, and so. Think about the data is the center of your success and how can you understand this data. So answering back about the cost of the success, it's in fact is not a figure or a fact that I will tell you. It's about areas that I want you to focus on to understand better how can I reach for this success. There's cost for each engagement. There's cost for each click that the audiences and users they are clicking. There are costs for installing your mobile application. If you are having mobile application, people, they will not simply just search for the Play Store and they will find your application and they will install it. There are costs for the views that people, you are having banners outside YouTube and so. People actually looking for that banner, you are paying for it. There are costs for getting new orders, new customers, retaining customers, and so. So always consider where you are pinpointing from all of that, then you will be able, in fact, to utilize your spending. Because if you will compare this figure, you will find out this, in fact, a real example of a company, they have done that in Scotland. In order to reach for 2,000 users in Scotland, those are the costs in traditional, starting from 150, or you can spend at least as $50 in Google pay-per-click methods, which we call the paid search. See the differences. We are talking about minimum 3 times of differences. So I'll give you just one example about the success. Success is understanding where you are and where you are heading. This is in fact one of my loveliest slides that I always do indicate for. You do have general data in the beginning. Data is unprocessed figures, data, words, characters, and so. By the time you will process it, you will have information. This pieces of information, you need to start connecting them to have a knowledge. Those knowledge, it has to be translated into insights to give you an indicator. What shall I sell in the Black Friday? What shall I present for this year and the Halloween? What will be the season, the holiday season this year looks like? Over the time you are collecting insights, you shall reach for the next stage, which is the wisdom. Okay, next year, can I plan for it from now? what will be the best areas, whom are my partners, and where can I target. And the best practice after all is to impact. The impact is to emphasize, to enlarge, to zoom in every single area that you know. We as a Homiez platform, Homiez, the MENA region, we had actually a successful experience during the pandemic, which in February we have stated clearly that we had a jump in the sales which exceeded 800% from the normal months. 800%, and this is something, actually what we have done is exactly what I have just said. We have started with the market needs, and we have collected what are people looking for and how the user behavior will looks like. After this, we have moved for the next area, which is the data-oriented insights. I'll give you, for example, most of the retailers here in Bahrain exactly, and we have the neighbor countries also, we have seen this. They say the retailers will stop working. Nobody will be interested in buying entertainment. Nobody will be interested in buying home appliances, and so. While what we have seen that based on our offerings, third stage, we have offered for the people, okay, right now you can't go for the barber or the salon. How about you shave yourself in the house? It sounds good. We do have the razor machine. How about that you don't have right now much of time going outside? You need a better television. You need a PlayStation. You need a better laptop. How about this and this? So this is the offering that we have started to do. After that, to keep sustaining this actually growth, you need to understand from the user and capture the feedback, what they are telling about you. Are you doing good? For the first month, for example, they were interested in donut machine. The next month, you need to understand something else, and based on that, you need to rebuild all of your targets, the objectives, and your KPIs. In general, marketing is not limited for what you are only thinking. It is an all-connected ecosystem. So you need to understand that you are part of ecosystem, you are part of community. I'll just close with the Steve Jobs quote. He said once, people, they will not understand what they want until you show them. So try to show them what you are good in. Try to show them that you are understanding the community, you are understanding the market, and you can actually fulfill what they need. Thank you very much for the listening, and hopefully in the future we can meet in different webinars. If you have any questions, I am listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sadeq. It is, Mr. Sadeq, it's a really interesting topic, and I think I'll open the floor for the questions. I think we have a question from Mr. Abdulrahim. Abdulrahim, he will join us. Mr. Abdulrahim. Mr. Abdulrahim. Okay, we'll come back. Might be to Mr. Abdulrahim. We have another.
هلا رائد.
هلا مسامحة أبو عبد الله. تفضل يا أخوي. تفضل. مسامحة.
First of all, I would like to thank our speakers today. They are brilliant and they are really mind openers. And for looking into the future positively, I see that a lot of steps we have to step up for our audience, especially the SMEs and micro. They need to be IT and updated, and this is what we are hoping through this event. Thank you, Dr. Raed, for bringing the experts to the field and bringing our clients, our members of the small and medium, Bahrain Small and Medium Enterprises Society to listen and hear from the expert. That's all what I wanted to say, and thank you.
Thank you for your support, Mr. Abdulrahim. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for this event.
I think Mr. Sadeq.
Yes.
We have two questions from Mr. Hussein Senkis. If you can see them in the chat. If our clients are 30 years old and above, what is the best way to reach them? Keep in mind they are not experts in social media.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hussein, for the question. In fact, if you are talking about 30 30 years to 35 to 40 years, I can say they are not far away from social media. Today, we do have something which we call the digital transformation cross span. I can't say that they are not far away from the social media as much as we'll say that we have not tackled them yet. Just a simple example. My grandfather, he's 85 plus, and earlier we were assuming that how come he will be understanding WhatsApp, YouTube, and so. While in fact, we have surprised that eventually he's watching YouTube. Eventually he's using WhatsApp. He can't write. He's just using the voice recording. So getting back for your clients who are, let's say, if they are not from Generation X, they are more likely from Generation Y. They are 45 plus. Let's focus in that area. That's why we have said that you need to have an integrative model of both channels together. You need to have the offline and the online. Give them the offline and tell them, for example, QR code, scan this and follow my channel. Like that, you will be able to capture them. Yes, I know it's difficult and challenging to capture the seniors, let's say, but it's worth that you might even think about what will be attract their interests. Hope that answers your question.
Really interesting topic, Mr. Sadeq. Is there any more question, or we can go, I think, to the second survey, and then we'll come back to the wrap. Might be some question will be raised later on as well. If you allow me, our colleague.
Yes, right. I have a question. If there's no question. Trying to be positive. First of all, thank you very much, Sadeq, for such a very interesting presentation and speech. Thank you very much. We learned a lot, of course, from Sadeq as well as from Ryan as well. Now, looking or trying to be positive about the pandemic, if we say that, well, in every problem, there's an opportunity lying. And in fact, this is what makes the difference for the entrepreneurs, is that they look into the problems as opportunities. So during this problem or pandemic of Corona or COVID-19, for the online marketing, what would be the positive side of it? And what would be the good things that we as entrepreneurs could get and benefit from that we were not thinking of or focusing on if it wasn't this pandemic there?
Okay, so I will just give a brief, and I will let Mr. Ryan also comment on this particular area. Today, for me, the most positive area or the most beneficial thing from the pandemic were that it forced everybody to be digitalized. It forced everybody to accelerate and progress in terms of what needs to be achieved. In fact, many areas, this is what we call usually the disruptive events. Usually, many people, they were sitting in their comfort zone. Do you have 1, 2, 3? Do you have precautions? Do you have risk assessment? Are you using online platforms? Are you using digital channels? Have you considered? They have no answer for all of that. And in fact, for the SMEs, it is the most dynamic area they can move in. Because unlike the big corporates, they are a little bit rigid. They have procedures, they have like a big hierarchy and so. So SMEs, since that they are small and medium, or as the Americans are saying, small and medium businesses, they can easily to be agile and to be adaptive for what's happening, and they can change rapidly. So this is my comment about how can the SMEs today benefit out of the COVID-19.
Thank you. Mr. Sadeq, we have another question from Mr. Dario. It is in the Q&A. How do you best educate clients to consider quality if the environment, as you said, goes for lower price and cheaper offer? So I think it's a good question as well.
Okay, thank you, Dario, for bringing this question. In fact, always we do have considered the pyramid of any offering today, which you have cost, you have cost, quality, and time. Honestly, I don't see success is going cheap at any ways. You try to focus on your quality, not your cheap offerings. And time, you shouldn't compromise the time that you need to acquire your customers, as if you haven't done it, others will do it. So yes, perhaps there are a terminology which we call the organic ways or the cheap ways, which as Mr. Ryan, he said, think about building your own content. Yes, perhaps this is a little bit, I say it usually like a chewing gum term, that if people tells you just content, but in fact, it is very useful and impactful today to focus on your content in different areas and aspects, such as newspapers, articles, blogs, even what you are writing in social media. This is in fact a content. Today, this event is also a content. So what you have delivered for your audiences. So this is in general what you can start on in, let's say, in affordable way for building and reaching for your audiences.
Excellent, Mr. Sadeq. I think there is one question in the chat. How can we optimize the use of digital marketing and invite clients?
Okay, Eastern Mind Consultancies, how can we optimize the use of digital marketing and invite clients? This is exactly what Ryan, he has demonstrated. There are a sales funnel, and for me, usually there's like the American model, the IDA: awareness, interest, desire, and action, or there are the British model: awareness, interest, consideration, conversion, and retention. So the best way to utilize the digital marketing channels is to start looking for where I am right now. If people, they are not aware about my product or my services, I shall think about how can I aware them about myself. If I am astronaut, for example, what is astronaut? What does it provide? Is it commercial? Is it non-profit organization? This is the awareness stage. And so based on that, you will be able to identify what are the proper channels you can use for your digital marketing. The stage of inviting clients and users, this is in fact the later on stage, which we call it usually the consideration. If I'm not aware about astronaut and they are inviting me to attend, for example, webinar, I'll say, sorry guys, who are you? What do you want? Why shall I be part of you? And so first aware them, let them be aware about you, then go next for the next level. Most welcome, Dr. Eleni. I think there's a question also from Hussein. If you are struggling to upload ads on social media to strategic methods, a specific time, how can you face this challenge? I used to have a quote also. Sorry, I'm just having out of quotes in my mind. The opportunity favors the prepared minds. I'll write this for everybody. Okay. The opportunity favors the prepared minds. So always think about everything that's happening and it's around you. It's an opportunity. As Dr. Abdul Hassan said, the opportunity lies under the challenges and failures. So yes, some of the people, they might fail where you can rise and so. So handling the social media, I don't see there are challenges on uploading ads on social media, except if you are violating the data privacy policy that they are setting, or the policies and so. For example, if you are uploading ads in Google, which is about statins or medications or capsules and so, it will be rejected and discarded. So here where you need to understand what are the challenges, and this is even in Arabic, we have something called فهم السؤال نص الإجابة. If you are understanding the problem, you will understand how to resolve it. Thank you, Mr. Hussein.
Really interesting, Mr. Sadeq and Mr. Ryan. I'd like to thank you as well. So as a wrap up today, we were talking about, during this session, I think we talked about the brand awareness, success stories, great, either in education field in Singapore or in Homiez in Bahrain. We have the engagement. I like the engagement of the barcode, and there are the different tools as well. Hopefully our colleagues go with something today. Customer satisfaction, Mr. Sadeq mentioned that, keep it as simple as possible. Using social media, cost of success as well. So I think we can move forward and we can arrange, inshallah, different in-depth session. Mr. Rayan, if you can, I think there is one question. No, I don't think so. Mr. Rayan, if you can join us as well. And if you allow me, just we'll go for Q&A for Mr. Sadeq. It will take about two minutes, please, before we leave. Can we fill it, please, if you don't mind? Our colleagues and our valuable guests. We have just, yeah. Mr. Rayan, can you join us?
Yep, I'm here.
Oh, thank you. So, thank you very much. Thank you.
Dr. Raed, please allow me, while the audience are filling up the feedback, allow me to thank our distinguished speakers today, Mr. Ryan from Singapore, Mr. Sadeq, and also our participants and our partners for this seminar today, MENA Investment Center, and especially Dr. Julius and Ms. Mariam for their valuable support for helping in organizing this seminar, and of course for you, Dr. Raed, as well. It's been dynamic in organizing this. We've been working on this for the past month, since September, and now we're in October. So thank you very much. Lot of vote of thanks to you for having this successful seminar and event, and of course also to our participants.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And Dr. Hana Kano with us as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister.
And Dr. Hana as well, yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Hana, thank you very much.
Yes.
As well as Mary and all the team on board.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for your support and continuous, almost daily, you are following about the and thanks for Rayan as well, Dr. Abdul Hassan, you are doing great job as well. شهادتي مجروحة, sorry, okay. And, yeah, everyone. So I'd like to thank you, everyone. Dr. Abdul Hassan, Mr. Abdul Rahim, and
Abdul Rahim as well, yes.
Yes, he's with us as well. You have the cam, Dr. Abdul Rahim. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Rayan. Thank you, Mr. Sadeq, and wish to see you in another event as well. تفضل عبد الرحيم. Might be I leave and you will end it now.
Well, مسك الختام لا يسعدني الا اشكر الجميع وخاصه رئيس القائد الدكتور عبد الحسن عباس يوسف الديري. سألوني عن اسمك لا اكتب عبد الحسن الديري ما نعرف شو اسم ابوه. اسمه الدكتور. I've been asked about Dr. Abdul Hassan. I know him, Abdul Hassan al-Deri, but I don't know his father. I was asked, what his name? And his name is Dr. Abdul Hassan Abbas Yusuf al-Deri. So if anybody who don't know, he's our champion and our leader, and he is really the dynamo behind what you see every time.
Thank you,
Dr. Abdul Hassan and Dr. Raed as well, and our speakers. Our speakers, you've done excellent. The questionnaire will show the results. I'm sure all of them, they reach the same level I have. And we learned a lot. And this is not the end. Actually, this is the start up. And we would like to see more of this type of gathering and brainstorming regarding future and not the fourth generation. We're talking about the fifth generation now. of industrialization. Okay, thank you very much. And
Thank you.
Thank you.
good night and good morning and good evening, wherever the time is.
Maybe the last words before we finish this and conclude from our speakers. Right?
Yes, Mr. Sadeq or Mr. Ryan, let's start.
All right, sure. First of all, very thank you. Very honored to be able to share the experience. And I guess, regardless of what the pandemic is actually happening, I think being cohesive and being able to solve this as a society will actually bring us to greater heights. All right. I think regardless of what kind of platform, the various SME will just need to be more creative and be willing to learn and take the first step out. I think, just like what we have mentioned, industrialization is always happening. Now we are in the 4th industrialization age. All right, we are now moving into the 5th. So it's always an ever learning process. So I think this is just the first step that we move forward and plenty more excitement to receive in terms of the platform itself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ryan, for your effort and spending this time. And I think time difference is in Singapore now. Thank you very much. Mr. Sadeq,
well, for me, it's quite short. Don't wait for COVID-20 to think of a change. Just go digital, and I wish all of you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Hanan.
Dr. Hanan. Dr. Hana Kano. Ah, okay.
Dr. Hanan.
I think I'll give her the chance, but I think, okay, no problem. All right. Dr. Hana, she doesn't want, I think, or she is not prepared for the last minute. No problem. Thank you very much, guys, and see you, inshallah, in next events. Inshallah, will be after 2 weeks, hopefully, with the Unismo. So thank you very much, and good night, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Have a great evening.
Good night, Ryan. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you.